Very, very, very heavy heart today that we start off episode 1360 that has kind of given me a little bit of reflection about what all this really means. You know, about, I don't know, I'd say 15 years ago, I left Southeastern and was going to have lunch with my mom in Amite, Louisiana. And I go to a classroom with a whole bunch of students, and I was introduced to Devonta Lee. When being introduced to Devonta Lee, my mom, who loves sports, said, "Hey, this kid is special. He's a great kid. He's a great student. But yet, or better yet, he's a better person." So following a couple of young men like Ishmael Sopsher, Devonta Lee, Devonta Smith, it was always great to me that when I would leave college to go see my mom and would go into her classroom, that there would be students in there that loved football. Loved it. None loved football more than Devonta Lee. So the day that Devonta Lee committed and signed with LSU, it was an awesome day. During his college process, Devonta Lee would go through a lot of adversity, whether it was on the field, but mainly off. As some of you know, Devonta Lee was diagnosed with cancer a couple of years back, which he fought bravely and beat. And over the next couple of years, Devonta would continue to become ill. A lot of times I ask questions about, Lord, why have you taken this person away from us? Why have you taken that person away from us? And I always just feel like I come back to the number one thing, and that is that there is a plan. And for me, it's never an easy thing to see someone have to go through that. But you would have to know Devonta Lee. You would have to know what kind of person he was to know the impact that he had on people. I spoke with his mother this morning and sent her my condolences. It is my prayer to his mother. It is my prayer to his family, to his teammates, to the Amite and Fluker community, that they can find peace in the Lord. I don't have any answers. I do have prayers. Man, sometimes I just don't get it. I just don't get it. When Devonta Lee was at Amite, he would go on to have a prolific career. And when he came to LSU, and as we started AYS, and I would see him, it was always a grin. Mr. Blake, we made it. No, I didn't make it. You made it. I pray for him, man. You know, I just hope that the Lord is guiding him and his family. I pray that the Lord is standing right next to him and saying, "My good and faithful servant, well done." And he is in a better place now and is not going through any trials or tribulations. That is my hope. But he was one of the best human beings that you could have ever met. And I hope that the Tiger community rallies around his mother, around his family. I hope the Louisiana Tech family rallies behind his mother and his family. Because I know that if they need something from us, we will. I don't get it sometimes, man. I don't get it. So, golly. My mom was pretty broken up this morning, as you could imagine. I'm sure as a coach or teacher, you're never really you're never really prepared to hear that you go before one of your students, and especially one of the good ones. So it is my prayer that the Lord Almighty gives peace to Miss Brown, to the Lee family, and to everybody in the Amite and Fluker communities. So it is with a heavy heart that we start off episode 1360. We lost a forget sports. We lost a fantastic human being today. So I don't really know how to transition out of that. I just ask for your prayers for his family. So we do have a lot of LSU stuff that we do need to discuss here today. We'll preview the LSU baseball weekend. That is, we'll talk about Northeastern and Dartmouth. Oh, boy, if you knew some of the political things that happened behind the scenes. I need to make myself clear. So out of the break, I'm going to make myself clear on something that we discussed, Will Wade, that we discussed last night because there was a little bit of a fireback. Yeah, okay. So we'll talk about that. Nothing that was said in the clip video that was published on YouTube. It was, hey, man, ESPN's publishing this. Here we go. And LSU unofficially made a statement. What we stated yesterday is still the 1,000% truth. So when we come out of the break, we will talk about that. O&A position battle is continuously heating up for LSU football as we are less than a month from spring football. So we will discuss that here tonight as well. Varsity Wealth is in the building. Mike Bazile, good to have you in here, baby. Good to have my man in here. Good to see you. Y'all need to get over to Varsity Wealth today. John Bro, and we're not paid by Varsity Wealth. John Bro says, I wish Devonta Lee would have gotten a better fate at LSU. I do as well. Penn Jones, Mallory, all sending their prayers. Thank you. Very stinks, man. Stinks. Absolutely stinks. I hate seeing it. I really do. Omar the Tiger says, let's go with a baseball pencil. Yes, Omar, we do have the baseball pencil ready to go here today. We will not be live tomorrow. I am taking my son Ben to a baseball game. So we will not be live tomorrow. We'll be live Saturday and Sunday to recap every single little thing. Penn, I see your comment. I would need to talk to the family about that. I'm not, I would need to talk to them. But if they do a GoFundMe, we will definitely, number one, we'll donate. Number two, we will push it for them as well if they so want to do that. But yes, as AP says, hug your loved ones. Life is short, without a doubt. AP, I think about that because, look, this isn't, I'm not trying to make anybody feel sorry for me. It was my choice in what I'm about to say. Sometimes I do look at Ben, my son, because when we started AYS, I would get off of work, I would come home, I would kiss my wife, I would give Ben a hug and give him a kiss, and I'd be in here until 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And then Ben would be asleep. And there were a lot of days that I didn't see him. And I think of did everything that I sacrificed then when he was young, was it worth it? You know what I mean? Was all of this worth it? So, I think that it is, because now I get to see them every day because I get to do this full time and I'm around him. I'm around him and my daughter so much more. And so I do, sometimes you go through sacrifices. So like Friday, taking Ben to a baseball game is not even like the post game. Like people can wait for my opinions and thoughts. Like I'm bringing Ben to that baseball game. And so, life is short, man. I often think about sacrifice, like I think about in building this, like people don't see your grind. People don't know what you're going through. People don't know how often, like as an example, like in 2023, before we were full time, guys, I didn't see Ben the entire month of June. Hardly. My daughter was born too. So, my wife had to be the rock. I say this often. Nobody grew AYS Sports more than Megan Ruffino. Nobody. Because she allowed me to pursue a dream. And so hug your loved ones, man, because you never know. You never know what's going to happen, and life is short. And I'm going to be continuously praying for the Lee family. Always. So you don't know what's going to come. You don't know. Look, man, you can love my content. You can hate my content. You can love me. You can hate me. You can be indifferent. The truth of the matter is, guys, we argue about sports. You can hate my guts, right? Like you can hate every single little thing that I stand for. That's okay. At the end of the day, we're all human, man, and we all go through shit. We do. So I am praying for the Lee family. So, all right, everyone do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Share to all those groups. If you're on Facebook, it's all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Every AYS Sports show is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Download the FD Sports Big app today. Use your mobile device in doing so. If you're in the great state of Missouri, you can do it as well. You want to bet on Sam Levitt to win the Heisman, plus 1,300. You can do that with our friends over at FanDuel. For any thoughts, questions, concerns, you can go over to FanDuel.com/RG for more details. As I tell you every single night, I highly suggest that you set those preferences so that you're not spending more than you want to. Sometimes you can get a little bit away from you. So I know it's what I do, and the reason that we partner with FanDuel is because they take that part very, very seriously. Please bet responsibly. Download the app. Let's all go have fun together. Let me get to a quick break. We got some Will Wade things that we need to talk about. Men's basketball as they come off a win against Ole Miss last night. We'll preview the LSU baseball weekend that is, and the position battle for LSU football that is completely heating up. So we'll get to that next. Do us a favor, hit the like and share. We do greatly appreciate it. Let me get to a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man. He's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler. He'll shoot you straight.
Hey, guys, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Red Stick Financial. They're your local residential mortgage broker located right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Red Stick Financial, they find the bank that works for your particular set of needs to purchase the home of your dreams or refinance the current one. They truly are your partners in this process, and they pride themselves in helping individuals and families with one simple goal in mind, and that is to make home financing approachable, attainable, and stress-free. They are licensed in all Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So from Amarillo to Meridian and everything in between, they have you covered. Red Stick Financial brings you creative, customized solutions, and they don't believe in the one-size-fits-all when it comes to loans. They even have special options for mobile and manufactured homes located in a flood zone and stated income financing for those of us who are self-employed borrowers. If you or someone you know is looking to buy a home, refinance an existing mortgage, or simply want to know what options are out there for your future. Give Red Stick Financial a call today at 225-407-9250. That's 225-407-9250. Or check him out online at redstickfinancial.com. That's redstickfinancial.com. Before you purchase the home of your dreams or you go and do that refinance, you need to go local. Go Red Stick.
We're back.
All right, let's get moving here. Thank you for all the super chats. We will get to those very, very, very soon. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate them. We'll get to them in just a little bit. I need to make myself clear about something. So last night and today, the team, Brandon and the team, published a video about LSU men's basketball. They published a video about Will Wade, essentially. So yesterday, or after our segment yesterday, there were some things and some people that fired back, leaving it alone. With that part being said, I want to make it very, 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 very well known about and clarify what we stated or what I stated last night. I stated multiple times, I have no clue if Will Wade will leave NC State, not only for somebody else. I have no idea if it will ultimately come down to a decision that he will leave NC State in reference to coming back to LSU. That part, I have no clue. I haven't talked to the man. There are people in this media beat that are closer with him than I am. You can ask them because I simply do not know. However, one thing I know for sure that multiple people have advised me over the last 3 weeks as these discussions have been made. There 100% will be conversations with him about a return. So I want to make that very well known, as last night there was kind of a little bit of a push for people that have stroke, so to speak, to keep Matt McMahon. I have been very consistent in reference to, number one, I don't dislike Matt McMahon at all. Number two, I do not believe, it is not of my opinion, that he has done in 4 years necessarily the job that I think LSU fans want him to do. Number three, I don't think that Scott Woodward, until it was too late, gave him the necessary resources to do what he needs to do. Number four, I agree with and has stated as much that the injuries that he's had this season has sucked. With that part being said, it's not going to stop what you and I talked about. It won't stop it. So anybody that wants to come out here and say that there's not some push from behind the scenes about a potential reunion with with Will Wade, I think you're a little bit foolish. With that part being said, the push of powerful people to say that we want Matt McMahon to stay, two things are happening behind this. Number one, they are showing support for Matt McMahon, and I completely understand it, and I completely get it, because the same thing with Brian Kelly is the same thing that happened to Matt McMahon in reference to resources. That is not even remotely close to being an opinion. But number two, it's also to send a shot across the bow in saying, hey, what some things that are being said out there are true. So the confirmation that comes in that is saying we want to keep Matt McMahon. Well, why would you put out a statement if you weren't intending to? Let me repeat what I just said. Why does any statement from anybody on a search committee, formerly of a search committee, why does statements need to be made about keeping Matt McMahon if that was not your intention? So, look, again, I was born at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time the day that I was born, but that wasn't last night. I don't know. I don't know what the future from LSU men's basketball holds. I stated that last night. I've stated that over the last 3 weeks. I will state that again today. I simply do not know. I will tell you the truth. Here's the other truth in this. Anybody telling you that they do know, they don't. They don't know. So, do I think the one thing that I know for sure is that I'm 99.9% confident LSU representatives have or will in the very near future talk to Will Wade about just pick his brain. What do you think? What do you think? What will we have to do? That is going to, if not already, have happened. So I know there's a lot of, I don't even know what to call it. I know that there seems to be a lot of directions. Like I'm saying one thing, others are saying another. I'm not trying to point a finger at anybody, but I'm telling you what I know. Like I'm not guessing. Like I'm not guessing in the fact that conversations are going to be had. That is something that you and I have discussed for weeks now. You don't come out, or someone that has some power does not come out, regardless of who it is, when it is, or who they back. They don't come out unless there's some truth behind it. If Matt McMahon had been told, if people with stroke that back LSU athletically had been told that Matt McMahon was staying, why would you make a post? Things can be said, oh, well, it's for this reason or that reason. No, two main reasons. One, Matt McMahon was dealt a very bad hand. Agreed. 1,000% agreed. Secondly, it's because people are chirping behind the scenes. And we've told you as much here. So listen, man, I would even say this. I need a new chair. Other than that, the truth of the matter is that those chirpings are starting to get louder, and that's why statements are being made. So I want to make myself very, 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 very clear. I don't know. I have no idea what the future holds here. Now, the last time that we talked about this much men's basketball and coaching hires or fires or whatever it may be, it was me coming out here and saying, look, man, Will Wade's going to get fired. He's going to get fired. And more pushback behind that. I had more pushback behind that than probably more than anything in the 7 years or 8 years that we've been doing this. That was probably top 2 or 3 things that was the most pushback. He got fired. Not to my benefit. Not to my benefit. I'm basically saying, hey, man, they said he's did X. They're going to fire him for cause because of X. So the justification of, well, NIL's coming, and it had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with Scott Woodward was going to fire him, and he did. With cause. I tell you yet again here, there will be conversations. Now, whether Will Wade goes somewhere else, stays at NC State, comes back to LSU, guys, I have no idea. Nor am I going to sit up here and pretend that I have any clue or any idea what he's intending to do or what he will do, because I don't know. So I wanted to make myself very clear. It is not missed upon me that we put out a segment and then another, things happen behind it. I'm not naive, nor am I stupid. But you don't make that statement if there aren't people chirping. So you want to know the politics behind this, guys? You're put to in. Look, again, as I said last night, I'll say it again. If it looks like a duck, it wiggles like a duck, and it quacks like a duck, it's not a turtle. It's not a turtle. So context clues here are showing you what people with power believe. It is what it is. But I wanted to make myself clear. I don't know. I don't know. Nor I'm just telling you what I hear. So I know that that's probably, I need a new chair. If somebody wants to invest in AYS, buy me a new chair. My goodness. Brandon. Stop talking to your girlfriend, Brandon. Put on the to-do list, Blake needs a new chair. Goodness gracious. This chair was more sturdy when I was 360 some odd pounds than it is when I'm 220 pounds. What the hell is going on here? What the hell is going on? All right. Let's move here. Let's get to some super chats before we get to the baseball weekend. Brian Hahn Says Blake AYS is the best LSU show. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Brian. I greatly appreciate that, buddy. I really, really, really do. Penn Jones with a $50 super chat says, buy Ben something at the game. Thank you for sharing Ben with us through the years. I, for one, miss his visits. Yeah, no more kids visits. As we got a little bit more serious in this, no more kids visits. But yeah, Ben is he's growing, man. He's growing. And I'm really, really excited to take him to a baseball game tomorrow. He's fired up. I've shared this with a couple of you. I have two cousins that are head baseball coaches. They're coaching and playing this weekend. I'm taking him to that. And my grandfather was the head baseball coach. My uncle then took it over him, and my dad wasn't always in the picture, and I stayed with my mom, and my uncle pretty much raised me, basically. I went to school he took me to school. I was around him pretty much every day. Pretty much. I was like his third son. Kind of. Pretty much. I was always at his house eating his damn food. I know that. So I'm taking him to the game, and so he's fired up. I'll tell you, though, NIL negotiations in the Ruffino household are starting to take way. But Ben is a baseball dude, man. He finally kind of college football clicked for him this season, though. By the way, it clicked for him. So we'll see as that continues. But my man's a baseball man. He is. So I'm really looking forward. So Brian Penn, I 100% will get him something at the game. Thank you all so much here. All right. Let's get into a weekend preview. So LSU, I say weekend. They pay on Monday. I know. So let's get into the weekend preview. So a couple of things here of note. Jay Johnson came out today and said that Chris Stanfield will likely not hit this weekend. He wants him at 100%. He didn't say that he wouldn't play. So I wonder if defensively Chris can come in at any given moment. I think it's very unique how Jay says things without saying things, to kind of get Chris Stanfield back into the fold here. Saying that he wouldn't hit versus saying that he wouldn't play are clearly two completely different things here. Look, man, you have the depth where you don't have to rush any of this. We barely talked about Katie Beatty last night, and now you kind of know why. Or the injury, because if it was significant, we would have led off with it. But Chris Stanfield, we'll see and continue to monitor. Obviously, you want him back before SEC play, and I think him and Braden Simpson and Tanner Reeves will have a fight in left field. I do think Chris Stanfield will get the opportunity and needs and has the opportunity to get that spot back, and we'll see defensively of what he will do. Chris Stanfield will still be a massive piece for your team moving forward. With that part being said, this is a big weekend for Braden Simpson and Tanner Reeves. A big weekend, because you need to show why you need to continue to be in the lineup. You go off this weekend, you force Jay to keep you in the lineup to any extent, then you're just going to have a big weekend. So glad to see Chris Stanfield is progressing. Chris Stanfield is one of the more clutch players on your team. He showed you as much last season. Let's see how this one plays out. Here's what I know. There's a plan in place for potentially for him this weekend. Let's see if we get there or not. And if we do, and he plays and he defensively is in the game, then great. And if not, then we continue to progress in this thing, and we'll see how this goes. With that part being said, Jay Johnson also mentioned today about Katie Beatty and that his foot was fine and that he'll play this weekend. You ain't going to lose the guy, your starting catcher, who is going to be a massive piece for you because of a stupid midweek game. Do I think that he was in a lot of pain? Yep. I do think he was in a lot of pain. Do I think that the toe and the foot was not the only thing that was hurting? Yes. But it's in a non-kidding, in a very, very much non-kidding perspective here. I think that a valuable lesson was shown in your loss to McNeese when Katie Beatty left the game. I think Omar Cerna is going to be a fantastic player. I think Omar Cerna is going to be one of those players that we look up in a couple of years and we say, man, this kid is one, he's one of the best, one for the ages. 100% believe that Omar Cerna is going to be a very, very good player for you. With that said, I don't know if he's ready right now. Clearly, Kate Aaron Beatty is. And that midweek loss and him going out did teach you a lesson there. So, Jay, with an injury update, I'm sure that there's a lot that Jay said today, that things that he wants to see and how he perceives this weekend and things of that nature. But time will tell and this thing will play out. In reference to this weekend, so you have two opponents. You'll play Northeastern and you'll play Dartmouth. Let's start off with Northeastern. So a couple of things got misconstrued, I think, in the preview when we talked about Northeastern. They are a quote-unquote team that I look at that's very, very well coached. I think Mike Glavin does one of the best jobs in the country. I think that he is a really good coach. As a team, however, they have struggled coming out of the gate. They're 0-5 on the season. They have not won a game. And offensively, they've been very bad. Well, so has McNeese State. McNeese State also scored 5 runs in 3 games versus Kansas. The thing that I look at with Northeastern for me is they only have 2 guys that hitting above 300. And in that, they just threw in their lineups 4 through 9. You should be able to dominate. Probably, I'll just say 5 through 9. Offensively, they have not been able to get some things going. They have also faced off against some really decent teams. Like they lost to Grand Canyon. They lost to Iowa. There's a lot of teams that they lost to. They lost to Nebraska. They lost to Minnesota. They've given up a lot of runs against teams that are not as talented as you. There have been a lot of times where they can't find the zone, and you're going to have to be patient when you face off against them. They are a team that I think throughout the season, I have no clue if they're a regional team, nor do I think that they are. But, they have shown in the past that with Mike Glavin, they will lose a lot of early games, and then all of a sudden something clicks, something comes forth, and all of a sudden they go on massive win streaks. That has been a Northeastern special. Now, last year they were a really good team, and they got depleted. But the team that you faced on Tuesday was not a good baseball team at all. McNeese is not a good team. But they came in here and beat you because you allowed them to. Now you're going with Kason Evans. You're probably going with Cooper Moore, and you're probably going with William Schmidt. I don't think anything's going to change there. However, you just got to do what you do. This team is not good. They have put a lot of base runners on. They have walked a lot of guys. They've given up a lot of big hits. They kind of can't get out of their own way. They're leaving pitches right over the zone. I watched the Grand Canyon game. I went back and watched some of that. I went back and watched some of that Minnesota series. I went and watched that Nebraska game, and the Iowa game that they got blown out. So do I think that they have some talented pieces? Yes. As talented as you know. The thing with them is that they're going to come in here very desperate, and they're going to want to come in here and take at least one from you. With that part being said, you just got to do what you do and be patient. They will walk you. They will allow base runners on, and when they leave mistakes over the plate, you got to make them pay for it. What is interesting for me, and we'll talk about Dartmouth in just a moment, what's interesting for me is I really want to see how this team responds. Now, Jay Johnson came out on Tuesday in his postgame and said, listen, I think what I probably should have done, and he put this on himself, he said, I probably should have allowed us to have a game on Wednesday because we got back late on Monday. We didn't practice on Tuesday, really, and then we went out there and we were really sluggish. And that he says that I probably should have moved that game to Wednesday. He's taking the pressure off of his players. Now, take that for what you will. I don't really necessarily disagree with him with 9 games in 11 days. I don't disagree. They looked exhausted. And that's how baseball works, man. It's how baseball works. it's not really on Jay, but Jay doesn't like not going through his process. He doesn't like it at all because when he doesn't go through his process and something happens, then he puts it on himself. Jay says after every loss that he stays up all night, like, what could I have done better? That's what makes him so great. That's not on him, man. It's not on the players. Just sometimes this is going to happen in baseball. Now, as we flush that McNeese State game, how do you react to it? That's it. You don't have to overpress against a team like Northeastern. You don't have to overpress against a team like Dartmouth because I really, there's not a lot to really go off with Dartmouth. Just be yourself. Continue to show that eye of the tiger that you've shown the first 2 weeks. Because if you do that, you're going to be completely fine and you're going to go 4-0 in this process. And then you have another week and then you go into SEC play and you go on the road in Nashville. So Northeastern, look, man, for them, just guys, they've given up a lot of walks. They've given up a lot of runs. They've given up a lot of bad, timely hitting from other teams that just simply are not more talented than you. I'm not coming in here and saying I expect you to blow them out like that. I never do that in baseball because, quite honestly, I think that that's a joke because that is a sport where you just can't do that in. However, if Northeastern keeps playing the way that they have been, if they keep hitting the way that they have been, if they keep pitching the way that they have been, the sky is the limit for you. Now, in reference to Dartmouth, look, I don't know really what to take for them. They're 1-2 on the season. They haven't played a lot of games. When I look at them, I don't know if they're a bad or decent team. I don't know much about them other than through 3 games. They don't hit bad, or they're not bad at the plate. They got 3 guys hitting above 400. They have hit for some power. They got in 3 games. Considering they have 9 extra base hits, that is a lot. But I don't think that we know enough about them. How do they react only going through 3 games when you're going into your 10th? So it's going to be interesting. I don't know if there's a massive scouting report on them other than the 3 games that they've played. But again, just be yourself. This weekend for me is a very, very simple one, okay? The weekend for me is I just want you to be yourself, number one, but I want to see Kason Evans do what we all know that he can do. Cooper Moore and William Schmidt continue to show the promise that you've shown in your first 2 starts. At the plate, continue to show that you not only can play small ball or that you can get timely hitting or you can execute hit and runs. Continue to be who you are. Don't blink. Don't blink. Because you saw this team blink, and Jay confirmed as much. He's in the dugout with them. He felt like that they blinked versus McNeese. Look, more than anything, like for me, I know you have the talent. I know you have the pitching staff, rotation, and bullpen. Whether y'all want to believe that right now or not, this early in the season is up to you. I know where I am. I know that you're one of the most talented teams in the country. I know you're one of the deepest teams in the country. From a depth perspective in the field, one of the deepest on the mound. Like I'm already there. You don't have to go there with me. The question is can you continue to find some of those things and put some of those things together? You know, I remember I forget who it was a couple of years ago. You know, Tony Vitello and Jay Johnson kind of have said this the same way, and both of them are right. You never look at an opponent like I'm going in here to pad my stats. But at the same time, you go into games like this coming off of a loss to kind of show the nation, look, man, this really is baseball. There are so many things that you and I can discuss. Do I want to see Kason Evans have a better start? Sure. Do I want to continue to see William Schmidt shove? Sure. Do I want to continue to see Cooper Moore shove? Sure. Do I want to see the same amount, if not more, power at the plate? Without a doubt. Do I want to see you continue to execute timely hitting? Yes. Do I think that some of the small ball stuff that you've done has been brilliant? Without a shadow of a doubt. Be yourself. You know, I think that people sometimes and teams sometimes, great teams too, sometimes they try to be something that they're not. All you have to be is yourself here, and you should go 4-0. Baseball's a weird sport. Things can happen. They can bring in a lefty that's throwing 68 miles an hour, like what happened the other night, and for whatever reason, you just can't touch it. You're so used to seeing 95 plus at 68 miles an hour, and it's moving all over the place. For whatever reason, you can't touch it. Be yourself, and you will do it, and you will send a message. Okay, yeah, LSU's, I mean, this is going to happen. It's a fluke. I bring up Florida. You know, they lost their opening game of the year, and people are like, oh, my God, oh, my God. Yeah, it's going to happen. It 100% is going to happen. So the national spotlight this weekend will not be on you. There are massive games around the sport this entire weekend. So with that massive spotlight being taken off of you, go and execute and perfect your craft. If you do that, you'll be fine. This is my opinion. I think that they're going to do everything that we expect them to do. I think with a couple of more days rest after having the gauntlet, and I say the gauntlet, guys, playing 9 times in 11 days or 9 times in 12 days, whatever it is, that is a tough haul to go through. A very, very tough haul to go through. Re-energize yourself, recompose yourself, and execute the way that you need to. All right. I see Bryce has a super chat in here. The $5 super chat says, love the show, Blake. Thanks for the great content. I know how you feel. Army keeps me away from the family, so you have to cherish the time with them. No doubt. No doubt. You and Bryce, thank you. Number one, thank you for your service. Your sacrifice is bigger than anybody's because you're literally putting your life on the line. So thank you for your service. There's nothing that I can do, say that we can't, nobody that watches the show can't thank you enough for your service. But again, I just go to sacrifice, man, whether you're in business. You know, the one thing that I've learned in growing up, I feel like for me is like, we look at all these billionaires and millionaires and, oh, it must be nice to have that money. You know, what I often think about is, yeah, it might be nice to have all that money, but what did they sacrifice to get it? Because you're not going to do anything great. You're not going to do anything at an elite level if you don't sacrifice something. Not going to happen. What are you sacrificing in your career, or what are you sacrificing to be great at something? And so that's what I ultimately feel. And yeah, money does not bring back the time that you miss. It doesn't. And sometimes I feel guilty, and I'm sure others feel guilty sometimes too. But it's just taking those times that you're with them and cherishing every single one of them, without a doubt. All right, let me get to a quick break. LSU position battle heating up. We'll talk about that next. Stay with us. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month, and also doing those $99 tune-up promotion. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on. When your business, your farm, or your equipment needs fuel, you need someone that you can trust. At Crump Fuel, they deliver quality gasoline, diesel, and lubricants with honest service and local pride across South Louisiana and South Mississippi. From construction sites, marinas, convenience stores, and trucking companies, all the way down to generators and everyday operations, Crump Fuel keeps you rolling. Crump Fuel is family-owned and family-operated. With high quality and dependable delivery, they're always going to bring that competitive pricing. Call Crump Fuel today at 985-229-4976 or visit them over at crumpfuel.com. That's 985-229-4976 or visit them at crumpfuel.com today. Crump Fuel, where they're fueling the Gulf South in the right way. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements.
We're back.
All right. So, last night, you and I, as we continue on our path to talking about this LSU football team and kind of going position by position here until we get into spring football, we were supposed to last night talk about the LSU running back position. So many other things that we needed to get to that we did not have time to get to it last night. However, we are going to get into that today, and that position battle is going to be, as we suggested yesterday, the LSU running back position. So you brought in or have currently 5 scholarship running backs: Barry, Durham, Jones, Ray Guillory, and Rod Gainey, also but guys that you brought in from the transfer portal. And I think the big question going into spring and going into fall, what is your running game going to be like this upcoming season in 2026? Is Harlem Berry going to do some of the things that we expect from a former 5-star, number 1 running back in the country coming out of high school? Is he going to do some of the things that we all expect from him? Caden Durham, who intended to enter the transfer portal, decided against it, returns back to LSU. Does he take a developmental step under Kevin Smith going into his 3rd season? Dylan Jones is a guy coming out of Wisconsin that in the small playing time that he had, when you turn on the film, you see some very high potential, a lot of physicality in a lot of his runs, and an offense of Wisconsin that, quite frankly, was not that good. And a lot of times they played, he was a very, very bright star in all of that. Who are the 2 guys, maybe even 3, that are going to break out here? Is Ray Guillory or Rod Gainey going to find a way through the spring and the fall to where they are someone that we need to look at here? Do they go through spring? Do they go through fall and like, hey, man, Ray Guillory or Rod Gainey has done a lot of impressive things here. Keep an eye on him moving forward. I don't know. What I would tell you is that I think that there has been a massive focus about that this position group is wide ass open. Do you anticipate Harlem Berry to be that guy who probably gets the call to start? Without a doubt, he is your most overall talented player. at that position. We have seen, I know we talked about this, and he has posted some video, some photos, and some photos have been posted of him trying to get that weight up, trying to get to that 200-pound marker, and continuing to train and maintain the level of speed that we all know that he has. There are things that, yes, Harlem Berry's size and holding on to the football is something that he will need to focus on going into year 2. But if he is the talent that we all think that he is, and to some of the comps that some have put out there on him that could be either fair or unfair, can he start living up to some of that billing? That is a question. But the real question for me really is not what Harlem Berry is going to provide for you, because I do think that Harlem is really going to shine in year 2 under Lane Kiffin and Kevin Smith and Charlie Weiss. The real question for me is who is going to be and emerge as that second back that takes the step necessary, that when it's 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4, that you can do some unique things with them if need be, but a guy that, quite frankly, can put their head down and get the 3 to 4 yards that you need for a first down. That is ultimately the question that I have going into spring camp. That is the question I have going into fall camp. And quite frankly, no matter what we see over these next 6 months, I need us to continue to see that going into the actual season here. So I look at this position group. I don't think that Harlem Berry is a guy that you're wanting to run in between the tackles on critical 3rd and shorts. That's not his game. That's not what he is, that his best skill set. Now, do I think that you need to throw the football more? Yeah. Do I think you need to find creative ways to get him out in space more? Yeah. Do I think that the massive part of his game is running in between the tackles? No, I do not. Can Dylan Jones or can Caden Durham be that thunder to what I think Harlem Berry's lightning is? The real question that I have is not, again, about Berry. It's about the 4 other guys. Does Caden Durham finally take the leap that we have been anticipating for him to take? Is Dylan Jones going to continue to do some of the things that, like the Wisconsin versus Michigan game, the things that we saw him do in the red zone, bouncing off of tacklers, some of which, by the way, are probably going to go in the first 2 rounds of this year's NFL draft, spinning off and being physical in the red zone and scoring touchdowns? Is he going to continue to pick up where he left off coming out of injury? Does Rod Gaining or Ray Guillory show us, hey, man, these are guys that, quite honestly, that Kevin Smith wanted and potentially could have brought in at Ole Miss? They go elsewhere, and yet they come in here and make a massive impact for you. There's really 4 guys for one, I don't want to say backup spot, but for one spot. And I'm sure that you will rotate guys in and out of there. I'm sure that you want to use 2 to 3 backs here because, of course, you do. And Lane and Charlie and Kevin Smith have utilized that, and they've used 3 backs in the past. Sure, you want 3 backs that can get you there. Who is going to be that thunder to Harlem Berry's lightning? I do anticipate that there are situations where we're throwing Harlem Berry the ball out of the backfield. We're throwing screens to him. We're doing unique things with him in the passing game that, quite frankly, I think that Joe Sloan and really Brian Kelly and Alex Atkins were just not creative enough in to be able to do and utilize some of those things. The real question, though, going into 2026, we know what Lane Kiffin and company do in the run game. Over the last 20 seasons of being an offensive-minded guy, or whether it's a head coach or OC, 15 out of the 20 backs that Lane Kiffin has had, because they've all went over 1,000 yards, and you haven't had a running back go over 1,000 yards since Clyde? Since TDP? Whoever that is? So you have gone into the NIL era, and you have not had a running back eclipse that 1,000-yard marker. You got to get there to get to where you want to go. You cannot go into another season not being able to run the football. And that is not an opinion, guys. It's a full-blown fact. Can you do things and have extensions of your run game, like throwing Harlem Berry the football out of the backfield? Sure. I consider that as such. Like, I consider utilizing some schematical things, even though it's a throw, and getting Harlem Berry out in space as an extension of your run game. But the bottom line remains for me is I think Harlem Berry is going to take that step. And as this position battle continues to take step, and as this position battle continues to take form here are some of the things that I'm hearing. I do think Caden Durham understands where he currently is. I think Dylan Jones and Ray Guillory and Rod Gainey understand that, listen, man, the best player is going to play. Am I going to be that player? Harlem Berry is already showing the developmental skills that he understands of what he needs to do to get there himself. You have a superstar, guys, at running back in Harlem Berry. I think we all understand that. Can he take that developmental step? But really and truthfully, Caden Durham putting in the work that he is this offseason, just some conversations that I have and some conversations around that building that I have, he's taking this as seriously as he ever has. From people that were retained saying, yeah, I don't know if he put in this level of work that he did last season that he's putting in now. Actually, they basically said that he didn't, and now he's really putting his head down and getting to work, and that's the number one thing that you have to do. Same with these other guys. Guys, you got to find a guy that can run in between the tackles because blocking schemes in the SEC are going to falter. Who is going to hit the hole that maybe initially we didn't realize would open up and have the vision to hit there? Caden Durham's vision's got to get better. It's got to get better. Can Dylan Jones stay healthy through an entire season? Can one of these younger backs stay healthy and give you the level of depth that you need and potentially take some carries and show what it is that they ultimately can do here? The position battle at running back, for me, and some things that I hear, it's not about what Harlem Berry is going to do, guys, because you're going to utilize him. He is one of the most special backs in college football. The question is who's going to be that back that you need to run in between the tackles and get the tough yardage, and who's going to be in that guy in the red zone that you can utilize to run in between the tackles and use the level of physicality that you need to not only win the SEC or to get to a playoff or get to a national title game, because you're going to need that. The battle between the four other players not named Harlem Berry is starting to heat up. I think that from some things that I hear, that the anticipation and the lack of players and scholarship players in that room, guys, quite frankly, has been an uptick. I think Harlem Berry is set to have a breakout level season. The question is who's going to be able to spell him to get those tough yardage that you need? And we find out in about a month. I think that position room is wide open for that second guy. Actually, it's wide ass open. Who's it going to be? I don't know. But I know that Dylan Jones is coming. Caden Durham's going to have a massive offseason to get the snaps that I'm sure that he wants. I'm sure that Ray Guillory and Rod Gainey don't want to sit the bench. Well, we're going to find out who is the guy that can break out some of these runs, because Caleb Jackson did not take a developmental step under Frank Wilson. It, quite frankly, was the opposite. He got worse as Frank continued to be there with him. Do I think that making him put on size was bad for his career? Yeah, but he's not with Frank anymore. Can you find a guy and can you find a running game that can get you to where you ultimately go, and that is in the playoffs? I am tired of seeing us be soft. And that, the O-line gets a lot of heat and criticism, which they rightfully deserve, about the run game. I'm not here to defend the offensive line. They have been bad. Well, you have a new one. It's time to reset and find that running game that, quite frankly, that you've been lacking. All right. Before we get out of here, any other super chats? John says Dylan Jones is going to surprise. I think he will too. I think he will too. I think it ultimately comes down to Dylan Jones versus Caden Durham. Who's going to win it? Because I know that Dylan Jones can see the hole and find the hole and break off tackles and score. Caden unless there's a wide open hole and he makes the right decision, the vision has got to get better. No one questions the athletic ability with Caden at all. The athletic ability is there. It's the vision. And I'm sure he'd say, well, my offensive line, but some of those things, man, sometimes you got to just put your head down and get moving. 4 yards is 4 yards, man. 4 yards is 4 yards. And that's what it takes to win in this league. Putting your head down and getting 4 yards and it being 2nd and 6 instead of 2nd and 9. Gonna need it. Gonna need it. John also says it will be nice to have a running backs coach who understands riding the hot hand in rotations. Yeah, if there's a running back that's going off, they're not coming out. Ask Kawan Lacey. I think Frank is a good recruiter. I think he's a horrible running backs coach. I mean, unless you just got like 3 super studs, the things that he did was dumb, man. It was dumb. Like Harlan Berry would have a long 20-yard run and then get taken out. What are we doing? Oh, well, he might be winded. If Harlan Berry can't run 20 yards or have a 20-yard gain and then go back to the huddle, then there's a conditioning problem. It's dumb. It is so dumb. All right. We're out of here. We'll see y'all Saturday. Y'all have a blessed day tomorrow. I am off. I'm taking my son to a baseball game. Well, we'll see you in the postgame for Saturday. Until then, y'all have a great day. Stay blessed. And rest in peace to Devonta Lee. Y'all have a blessed day. See y'all soon. Peace.